Five, four, three.
Welcome to the Country Glam Podcast. I'm your host, Hannah Lane. Join me as I sit down with both legendary and rising stars in country music, diving deep into their journeys, passions, and their music. But that's not all. You can catch all the latest trends and behind the scenes of this journey. So grab your boots and your rhinestones and get ready for this new episode of Country Glam. Hey y'all, it is Hannah Lane, and I am so excited about this special guest. I'm going to let her introduce herself because I just feel like she is the moment and the star. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm so good. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited. You are absolutely amazing on The Voice right now. You have just blown me out of the water, which I'm sure you've done to a lot of America. Can you tell us just a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your background, and how you started on this journey?
So my name is Angie Rey. I am 25 years old and I'm currently on this season of The Voice on Team Kelsea.
Oh,
It's been a long, long, long time. I was born in Southern California, so I started in acting actually. I booked my first job when I was 5. And I started singing when I was like 8, but I was really, really shy. So it took a little while for me to actually get out of my shell and be okay singing in front of people.
right.
I started actually like gigging when I was maybe 12 or 13. And then I'm 25 now and I just haven't stopped. So
I love that though. And when I saw that you were 25 years old, I was like, there is no way. Like you just, I mean, your talent and everything, because I'm 24. And
okay.
so just looking at like what you're doing and what you're accomplishing and all the things you're going, I'm like, Miss Ma'am is 25 and she is rocking it and knocking it out of the park. You're doing
Thank
such
you.
amazing things. So can you tell me just a little bit about what made you wanna go on The Voice? What made you want to pursue that journey?
Sure. I think the reason for doing The Voice in general, I was actually cast for a different season of The Voice in the fall.
Nice.
So that would have been season 26. But my grandma was really, really sick. So then I decided to leave filming and go be with her. And so then they called me while I was in Florida with my family and they were like, hey, we can actually switch you seasons. I was like, great. And I knew Kelsey was going to be a coach. So I was like, oh my God, even better because I'm such a huge fan of hers.
Right.
And so I think what ultimately was the reason I decided to do the show, The Voice is such an incredible platform. There's so many viewers that follow it and follow along with it. So for me, what I've kind of run into a lot is my numbers. So I was like, how can I um, reach a large number of people? And so
Right.
that's kind of why I decided to do The Voice.
Right, and I think that's for a lot of people, like, even though I don't sing and I talk on the radio, I think that's something it's always pushed at you like, "Okay, get more out there, get more followers, get more of
Yeah.
this, get more of that," and I think just coming from that, I totally relate to you on that because you're starting to try to think outside the box. What can I do to kinda push myself a little bit further, a little bit more?
Right.
Because I also like to stay in my comfort zone, sometimes, and, when you're saying, like, I just wanted to do something bigger and, kinda up that following, I totally get that.
Sure.
Was there anything that somebody, like, told you before you, like, went onto your audition where you're like, "Okay, I can do this," because I know that's gotta be nerve-wracking in the beginning.
Um, I would love to say that someone said something that was, like, gonna make me feel comfortable,
Right.
but
Right.
that's not the case at all. I, shook like a leaf, in my blind and in my battle. It was like it's the scariest thing ever, and it's kind of like it's this weird thing because as a performer, it's like I've performed in rooms much larger, like
Right.
bigger scale, like thousands of people, and I just feel so at home there. But something about stepping on the Voice stage is so traumatizing and terrifying that
Right.
like it's like nothing can prepare you. And I knew my song like front back. That's why I picked it. So
Right.
it was like there was no messing up the song. I wasn't worried about the song. It was like it's the make or break of that moment. It's like this could either go totally my way or I'm going to leave here really destroyed. And so I
Right.
was like, don't want to leave here. It's sad.
Right, and I feel like it totally went your way. Like, when I saw it, I was blown away. Like, you have so much talent, and then when you got on Kelsea Ballerini's team, I was like, "Yes!"
Well,
I
it
just
was
love that.
it's funny because people were always like, I think people would be upset to only get the one chair turn, like, that I think was, like, the comment I got. It's like, "Oh, man, she only got one chair turn," and it was like, I didn't want anyone else to turn because I wasn't gonna pick anyone else, so it
Right.
didn't bother me, like, everyone else could have turned, and if Kelsey hadn't turned, that would have been more disheartening than just a single chair turn.
Right, and I get to work a little bit with Kelsey too, just being in country music and being all the things. I just went to her show in Nashville,
Yeah,
and she's just what you would think she'd be. She's like that big sister type ordeal, and I just love that about her, and I saw you had made a comment about that too, like, just being like she is just so warming and just so, like, welcoming,
yeah.
and when I saw, like, y'all being together, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be a dynamic duo." Like, it has been so cool to watch. So, tell me a little bit about what you felt when you saw Kelsey turn that chair.
Uh It's interesting because on the show, it sounds, like, really loud, like, this, like, moment, and it's, like, the button push, and you just hear it, like, echoing in this room.
Right.
I did not even hear the button. It was, like, something that I don't know if it's turned down, if the button doesn't
Right.
make the noise, like, what it is, but I remember singing to the audience on the left, and then they started, like, screaming at me, and I was like, "What's going on right
Right.
now? Like, why are they yelling?" Then I turned, and then I saw her, and then I just hot mess express after that.
Like, that is so cool to know though, because sometimes you don't get to see the behind the scenes, obviously,
Yeah,
like, as a viewer, and
yeah,
to know that you didn't even know that she turned you're like,
yeah,
"Oh, yeah, I get why y'all are screaming now."
yeah, and it's like, I don't know what it is. It's like it's like then all of a sudden, like, this whole room just becomes you and this person, and you're just like, "Oh my god, this is crazy." And then there's, like, a light on top of them, and you're like, "What's going on right now?" It's just so cool.
So it had to be the best feeling to finally finish the song and be like, "Okay, I can take all of this in this moment." Like, Kelsea Ballerini just turned the chair, "We're in this, we're going for it." Like, how cool is that?
Yeah, well, the song is only, about 90 seconds is all that they give us. I think it was,
Yeah.
like, 90 or 80 seconds right in there, and honestly, it's the longest 90 seconds of your life. It's like,
Right.
when is this gonna end? Um, because I just it's, like, so crazy because we practice and we spend so much time for that, so it's, like, to think that, like, it's gonna be good and then, like, nothing.
Right.
The moment is just a whirlwind, and you really do kinda black out. That's why, like, I'm so glad that I got my episode aired and all that stuff because when you air, it's kinda like you get to live it back because I didn't remember what
Right.
happened or how I reacted or anything like that, so or what they said even. It's just, like, so fun.
Which is so funny because I hear that a lot. Like, when I interview people, they're like, "No, when you perform on that stage," because I don't sing, but God, I wish I could. If I had a voice, it'd be over for everybody. But I love, like, hearing those stories because you don't always get to hear that until you interview one of the
Yeah,
artists or you interview somebody doing this, and they're like, "No, you don't understand." You literally black out on stage, and you're like, "What just happened?" 'Cause it feels
yeah.
so real.
It does not feel real. It's so, like it does feel like a dream, like, entirely, and some people don't get their audition aired, so it's, like, so awful because it's like you wanna relive that moment, and then you'll never get to have that feeling again or get to see it again. Like, I can now go back and watch my blind audition or my battle, like,
Right,
that I
and
just
it's
love that.
so good. Is there one thing that, like, during, like, the waiting period because I'm sure you had a waiting period that you couldn't tell anybody.
Yeah, it was really long.
Like, that's what I'm saying, like, what was going through your mind? You're like, "Oh my gosh, I wanna tell somebody, and I can't." Like, how
Yeah,
long was that?
um, I knew about it for about a year and a half.
Oh, I didn't realize it was that long.
Yeah, it was a long time, it was a long time, but I it was so funny because like, I'd walk in since I was a little kid, I always told my mom, I was like, "Mom, you know what's so funny is I'm famous and nobody knows it."
Was
And
it
so, now it's kinda like knowing what goes on, it's like, we
right,
already know what happens and I can't tell anyone, so my favorite question I always get, like, when I live stream or, like, people meet me, they're like, "So, what happened? Like, you're performing now, like, what's going on?" And the show is obviously pre-recorded, so
right.
it's like you have to watch the show. If it
Have to
hasn't
find
aired on
out.
TV, I cannot tell you about it.
Right, but I think that's the fun in it too, because you get to have a totally different role. You're like, I mean, I
Yeah.
know, but you don't.
Well, there's also, like, spoiler pages, and so
Right.
it's really funny because they, like, predict things, and they hit so many things, like, right on the head, but some things they are so wrong on, and I'm like, "Ha, ha, ha." I love
I
knowing
know,
that.
and you don't. That
Yeah,
is so much fun. I feel like I can relate to that too because I think being on the radio sometimes we're like, "Oh, we have a big announcement coming." But,
yeah,
like, we
no
might
one
not know
knows.
it yet. Right. I just love that, and I think that's such a cool experience. You know what? That not everybody gets to experience. So just to be able to have that experience is just the coolest thing. It just I watch your social media page, and I think that's why I reached out to you because I was just so mesmerized by what you were doing and the things that you post, and you're like, I went from, like, 100 streams to, like, thousands after this. Like, how was that
Yeah.
feeling for you, like, realizing that once it aired?
Um, I think it's really hard, because I think a lot of times you'll go from, like, no one watching, and then all of a sudden your numbers just spike through, and,
Right.
I get so many messages every single day from people, and it's really hard because and one thing that I admire so much about Kelsey is, like, her authenticity about, like, how she is a real person, and I
Right.
never want to appear, untouchable in a
Right.
sense where my whole life I was told, "You're so not approachable, like, people don't wanna come up and talk to you because 'cause you're not approachable," and I never wanted to be that way. It's like, I've had girls message me and be like, I dealt with this in school today," and me
Right.
being 25, it's like, they're in high school or middle school, and it's like they just wanna talk about it, and so I always want to be a safe space for people
Right.
and let them know that, like, Instagram and social media, it's all so fake. Like, I look like my hair is always in a bun or a ponytail. I don't always have makeup
Right.
on. So it's like to let people know that we're just normal people and that we all go through the same thing is something I really stand for. I also one of my favorite things that came out of the show so far. During my battle round, my love for Tatum, my partner,
Yeah.
kind of showed it, and we had this like moment where she gets stolen, and I just jump up and down and like I want to go give her a hug, and it's like I want to support my girls. It's like why is this industry an industry of like I don't want to tear each other down. Like let's build each other up, and I stand on that. So it's like knowing that I have this platform now to kind of just let people know that we're real and just kind of supportive of
Right.
everyone in their dream is really really important to me.
Right, and I think it's so cool to show that even though you do have a platform, and your platform is way bigger than mine, but in a point of, like, having a platform in the state of Mississippi, I'm like, I feel that on such a surreal level because I think for so long, people look at social media accounts and they're like, "You have it all together."
Yeah,
And I think there's so many moments that once you portray what really goes behind the scenes, what's really happening, there is some glamorous moments. There's some moments that feel like there is no way this is real life, and there is no way I'm sitting in rooms I could have never dreamed of.
yeah,
But there's also moments of insecurity and doubt and nerves and feelings that everybody feels on a daily basis.
yeah,
And I love that you say, "You know what? That's what I wanna show," because I think sometimes we as performers or we as being on the radio or being, like, in that spotlight, we forget sometimes to feel those emotions fully because it's always like, "Okay, showtime, we're on."
right,
And I think just knowing and looking at someone, because there's gonna be your middle schoolers, your high schoolers, your girls that are looking at you and being like, "Oh my god, I look up to her so
yeah,
much." I think that surpasses no matter how far anything goes because, like, you're making an impact in people's lives where they might also go chase their dreams, and I think that's, like, such a beautiful thing and it's such a full circle moment.
yeah. I think the highs are so high and the lows are so
Yeah,
low. And you talked about like these moments where it's like, "Oh my god, there's no way this is real life." And that's awesome, but
right,
some of those moments are 30 seconds and then it's over. And then
right,
you're back to reality. There was a time I was on a different television show years and years ago when I was a little kid, and I remember being eliminated and going home and opening the fridge, and my mom they used to like you do hair and makeup and they feed you and they do all your
right,
stuff. And so I remember going back to the fridge and my mom was like, back to life, back to reality. And that's so real. Um, just, it's just so important to like remember that you're going to go through ups and downs. You know, we
Right.
all go through them. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what career you're in, you know,
Right.
whether it's music, whether it's a teacher. My best friend is an elementary school teacher. So like we talk about the comparisons in our lives, and it's
Right.
like, we all go through the same stuff.
Right, and it's so important to have that support system and to
Yeah.
have those people and your friends that you grew up with and you're like, "Okay, I know I can trust you. I know that, like, you've been with me since the start." I have that. Like, my best friend, Sierra, like, even though through the winning awards or winning these things, it's like I have that foundation. And is that the friend that you posted for her birthday today? Is
Oh,
that
today's her birthday. Yes. I have 3 best friends. 2 of them are twins. They live one's in New York, one's in California, and then Hannah is so the twins are my like elementary school best friends. Those are
Right.
like the girls I grew up with. And then my other best friend is Hannah, who was like my middle school on best friend because I moved, and it's her birthday today.
Oh my gosh, wait, I moved. I feel that. Oh,
Yeah.
I relate to you so much, and she has a great name.
Hannah,
But
yeah, she does.
but no, I think it's just so important to have that support system, but also to have people that you look up to and
Yeah.
to have people that you also look up to, even though like you have people looking up to you and these girls chasing their dreams and these people wanting to go sing and be on The Voice. I'm sure growing up, you also had people that were singing or being on these shows or being in certain things in the music industry that you looked up to and you're like, oh, I get to be that now.
Yeah, I that's one of my favorite things actually about the show. When they switched me seasons, um, I remember being cast for season 26, and I felt so lucky and so honored. And the coaches were like Snoop Dogg, Reba, Buble, and oh, Gwen. And I was like, oh, this is, so exciting. And then the lists of people came out for season 27. And I remember calling my mom and I was like, oh, Kelsea Ballerini's a coach on season 27. Like, it was, I felt so lucky, but I was heartbroken because
Right,
that was my person that I looked up to for so many years. Like I listened to Kelsea when her first album came out. Even before
right,
that, it was like she was someone that I really, really loved and look up to. And so it was like I was I felt really thankful, but it was like this moment I was like,
right,
I wish I could have been on season 27. And then when they switched me, it was like, oh my gosh,
right.
I get to meet her, I get to work with her, hopefully. I get to like do all these things, and her and I have maybe it's just one-sided, I don't know from her perspective, but from my side, her and I had a really, really special connection, and she
Right.
does feel like my big sister. I mean that, through and through, and I'll always root for her, and um she's a really special person.
Right, and just to have someone that's so real like that,
Yeah.
because I just remember her, like, just coming out, like, and saying how she was feeling, and then when she did the Rolling Out the Welcome Mat album, like, it was just such a surreal thing that I think sometimes you don't get to see from artists, and seeing her just and at her concerts now, when she was, like, headlining, in Nashville at the Brooks oh
Bridgestone, yeah.
Bridgestone, I always say Brookstone, Bridgestone Arena, like, I was watching her and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, the growth." The,
Yeah.
like she is just unbelievably talented, and then just watching y'all together, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is so good."
Yeah.
Like and I just think that's such a moment for you too, is just, like, getting to read those articles that are written about The Voice and about you and about Kelsey and, like, seeing y'all's moments together. It it just, like the viewer can feel it, and I think that's such an important thing. Like, I don't think it's one-sided at all. I think you can feel that connection, and I think it's such a beautiful thing to watch that form.
Yeah. Well, I remember even like after we had filmed the show, I had gone with my best friend in Florida. I wanted to go to the concert, but I wanted to go with my best friend, and she couldn't come to
Right,
the Nashville one. So I was like, "Don't worry, we'll go to the Florida one. It's fine." And I remember going there. She took a picture of me, and I was like, I bought a ticket as a fan. Like
right,
truthfully, I paid the full price. She did not cut me a deal, like nothing like that. I know a lot of people have asked me that.
right.
And I remember sitting there, and she like had come out, and this is someone like I have already met. Like I don't like, and I don't get like that feeling of like that starstruck, like,
Right.
oh my God, and but like something about her just coming out, and Hannah took a picture of me crying, and I was like,
Oh.
I literally cannot function right now. This is crazy. And I just love her so much. She's so talented.
And she is, but so are you, and I think it's been cool to watch, like, you open for artists and, like, do certain things. I read something or you had said something about Scotty McCurry, like, what other artists have you been opening for or doing things with that you're like, "Oh, this is cool too?"
Yeah, I've done a bunch of different things. I have some stuff going on this year that's really exciting, but that's not out yet, so I can't talk about it.
Right,
But those are bigger than I think everyone else I've opened for already, so I'm really
right.
excited about that. But I remember the first gig I did, the first full band gig I did.
Right.
I was up and down where my parents live in Florida, like on the beach, and I had printed business cards on Vistaprint, and I would go into places and I'd be like, "You should pay me to play here. My name's Angie Rey."
Yeah.
And no one called me back. And it was little restaurants, little restaurants. And no one called me back. And I remember going to this one place called the Stockyard, and it's like a big hall. It's like a concert hall.
Right.
And I went in there and I was like, "Hey, my name is Angie Rey." Like, and she called me the next day and she's like, "Hey, you said you have a band, right?" And I said, "Yes." That was a lie. I did not have a band. And
You got to find one.
like I think it was a Wednesday. And so she called me and she's like, "Oh, well, my opening act canceled on me on Friday. I need a band. If it's 45 minutes, can you do it?" I was like, "Absolutely. We'll be there, me and my band." And so I called all my friends and I was like, "Hey, you got a drum kit? Hey, you got a guitar? Like, let's get this together."
Oh,
And it was we opened up for John Michael Montgomery, and that was my first full band gig.
how
So
cool is
um
that?
it was crazy. It was like, and it was an incredible show. Like, I had a videographer there. It was like so cool, and it was sold out. And it was like a little taste of something that I was like, "Oh my God, like I can't do, this is all that I want to do." And I just loved it so much. It's the feeling of being on stage is like the best feeling ever.
Right, and how cool like, that's such a cool story to go back on and be like, "I had no band." If you're listening to this right now, I had no band, but we made it work,
Yeah.
and I think that just shows your determination and your passion for what you're doing. You're like, "Look, I don't know how Imma figure it out, but we about to." And I love that, and I bet all those restaurants and all those places are wishing they called you back now. Like,
Well,
I just
I'm very persistent. I think that's one thing about me. It's like,
yeah,
and it took me a little while to get there, but for me, it was like, and this is the best advice I could ever tell anyone. It really comes down to, if you want something, ask for it,
right,
because chances are you probably already don't have it.
right,
So what's the worst they're going to say to you? No. Well, you already don't have it. So no, no, you didn't lose anything.
right.
You've got nothing to lose. And so that's like my biggest thing too. It was after the concert, or after the show aired, Kelsea Ballerini's label had posted my video. And I remember sitting there messaging them, and I was like, "Oh, thanks so much for posting my video." And they're like, "Yeah, of course." I was like, "So now I just want you to, listen to my original music, sign me, and then let's just put me on tour with Kelsey." And I had
Right,
nothing to lose. Like, it doesn't matter.
right.
And then they didn't answer. So I just like cackled at that because that's funny. And so I messaged them again and I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Like, I just got ahead of myself. I was so excited." And then later, it like 2 weeks or a month later, was the Kelsey concert, and they were at her concert. So then I got to
Yeah.
shake their hand and meet them. And I was like, "I'm so sorry. I messaged you guys some crazy nonsense." But
I love that though, because you know what? It is always no until you ask. And I think that's the best piece of advice you can give because I think people don't know what you want or what you need until you say it. Like we're not mind readers, you
absolutely.
know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
and just like that, where like nothing came of that one, there's another time where like there's a guy named Ray Fulcher who is one of my favorite songwriters. He writes a lot of Luke Combs. He wrote "When It Rains It Pours" with Luke Combs, and
yeah,
I love Ray Fulcher. So I was feeling frisky one day, and I sent Ray Fulcher a message, and um, I was like, "Hey Ray, I've been feeling pretty lucky these days." Which, okay, I've been
right.
feeling pretty lucky these days. What is the likelihood of us getting a write-in? Because I love songwriting. And then I put in parentheses, "You cannot say highly unlikely." He never responded to me. And then, like, I don't know, 2 weeks after that message, I texted him again, and I was like, "I guess I'm not that lucky," like, because I just think that's funny,
Right. Just
and
a
there's
no.
humor in it. And then the next message was, "Hey, would love to get something on the books. Here's my phone number." So it's like, as many times as someone says no, there will be times where people say yes. So
Right.
it's like you just never know.
Right, and I love that, and I think another cool thing about you is that you do songwrite or you love to songwrite because sometimes and something that I learned in this industry is not all artists write their own music. Like,
Yeah.
sometimes it's like other people are writing it, and that was, like, one of my biggest shocks when I started. I was like, "Wait, what?" Like, in my head as, like, my little 15-year-old, I was like, "Oh, he wrote this song, this is such a good song," and then you start learning, "Oh, wait, I mean, he might have been on writing it, but, like, there's so many other people that are
Yeah.
so talented writing this music," and when I got into this industry, I was like, "That is so cool," and something I didn't think about just being, like, an outsider, and so to know that you go in and, like, help write your music and do all that, what is that experience like?
I have had I love writing. Writing has been awesome, but writing is really vulnerable. And I had this like epiphany moment after I met Kelsey, where it was like the reason people resonate with her so much is she is an open book. And I
Right,
think that's something really, really beautiful about songwriting. It's writing things that matter to you and writing
right.
things that say something. So I had this moment where it was like I have a list in my phone on my notes where it's like titles of songs that I want to write.
Yeah,
And I just shifted into something else now where it's like I'll write a paragraph of something that goes on or happened. And then I'll go into my write and be like, hey, let me tell you this real story about something that happened in my life. And let's pull a song from that.
right.
And so that's been what I've been doing lately. And I have loved so much of my writing lately. I'm so excited to share some stuff that's coming out. It's just so good. I I'm not scared to be vulnerable anymore. So
Right.
it's really, really awesome.
And that's a good trait to have because I think society wants you to be one way, and when you kinda break that barrier and you start going, "You know what? But that way's not the way that I wanna be," I think, like, some beautiful things can happen because I think people connect with people that are authentic and
Yeah.
are real, and
I think people only connect with people that are
right,
authentic and real. I think that, at least the long-lasting careers that I've noticed, it's just people that are real, and
right,
there's a reason for that. It's they're likable, people love them, they root for them, and so
right.
it really is so much about that. It's like, if I think about the people I wanna hang around, and probably the people that you wanna hang around too, it's like, who's real and who's authentic, and that is the best. Those are the people that you want. It's like,
Right.
who do I love hanging out with? Because 'Cause they're just so real and fun and honest. I love those people.
And on top of that, who's gonna root for me when I'm not in the room? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, they're called horn tutors. They toot your horn for you.
right, like, who is gonna be here and root for me and stand up for me and want me to succeed even when I don't even know that they're doing it?
Yeah.
And I think that just shows through people's songwriting, through people's ways they go on stage, to their performances, just seeing, like, certain shows and how different artists do some of their shows is the coolest thing to watch. That's been one of
Yeah.
my favorite things 'cause it's like, "Whoa," like, that was such a I'll give an example, like, Post Malone. When I went to his concert, I mean, the way he did some things, I was like, "I never saw that coming," but that was so amazing compared to Kelsey's show when it was just like, I never saw that confetti about to happen, and it's like, that was awesome, like, just the difference between even though they did 2 different things and they both were so iconic and amazing, it's like, that's so cool to see different personalities shine through different shows and different performances, and even though they're completely different, it's so them that it
Yeah,
makes it so cool.
absolutely. And there's such like the teams behind all that stuff that goes on.
Right,
There's so many people that are a part of that. And that's what I also really love to remind people of. It's like, the artist is one thing, but there is an army behind them and they need that army. They can't do it by themselves.
right, and it's so beautiful to see the behind the scenes because, like, you get to see it, but so do I. I'm like, when you start getting in this industry and when you see the behind the scenes stuff, you're like, "That is so cool," and I wish sometimes other people could see it because it's like, if you only knew how many people are
Yeah.
coming together to make sure that you have a great experience as the listener, as the consumer, I'm like, we're so lucky to be able to get to experience some of that. Some of it's like, "Okay, we gotta take a breath, and sometimes I wish I could not see some of the behind the scenes stuff,
Yeah.
but some of it's just so cool to watch, and you really get to have an even more appreciation for what people are doing, and when you're in it, because now that, like, you're, like, singing it on The Voice and doing all these things, it's like, "Oh my gosh, like, my dream is coming true," and now it's even a more appreciation for what other artists are doing, I'm sure, because you're like, "Now I'm one of them." Like, I'm doing what my dream is and what they're doing, and it's like, how
Yeah.
cool is that?
Yeah. It feels surreal. I work really, really hard, and
Yeah,
I think that it to have a little piece of that, even though it's so minute right now in comparison to, like, where I wanna be and what my
right.
dreams are, it's so surreal, and I feel really lucky. I'm very fortunate.
Right, and I love that, and I think your hard work and your talent just shines through in what you do, and I just know and hope for you having such a successful future, but I have a feeling that we're not gonna have a problem with that because no matter what happens, you are amazing, and I'm so thankful that you came and hopped on the podcast with me today.
Thank you for having me. I've had so much fun. This has been great.
Absolutely. Now we need to hang out, so now when I come to Nashville, Imma be like, "Angie,
I know, yeah, call me. We'll plan something. I'm here all the time,
Angie,
so
Angie, Hannah, and Hannah." I think that's
yeah.
would be a
Hannah doesn't
good
live here though. Hannah's gone. Hannah's in Florida.
Okay, so you know what? My dad and them live in Florida.
Oh, where?
So in Pensacola.
Oh, that's north?
That is I'm not exactly sure. He just moved there. I'm from Baton Rouge. But yeah, they moved to Florida and he is loving it. So I guess
That's
we all
awesome.
just need to either make a trip to Florida or make a trip to Nashville. We'll do one or the other.
Let's do it.
I love it. Thank you so much for hopping on. We're gonna pass on to my sponsors. Thank you so much for everybody that is listening and join the live today. You can continue to see it and view it from my Facebook and your hometown country's Facebook. We're so thankful for Angie Rey for coming on, and thank you to my sponsors. Thanks for watching Country Glam. Experience the ultimate relaxation at Patina Hair Studio and Head Spa. Indulge in their exclusive viral head spa designed to rejuvenate your mind and leave your hair feeling great. Located in Ridgeland, Mississippi, their head spa pampering will leave you feeling refreshed and revitalized. Book online 24/7 at patinahairstudio.com. Don't have time to make special treats? You have to go see my friends at Small Cakes in Madison. Y'all, when I tell you they're the best kept secret, I am not kidding. And they do everything. Cupcakes, cookies, cookie cakes, ice cream, smash cakes, and the best homemade cheesecake you'll ever taste. It doesn't matter if you're planning for a spring wedding or you just need to pick me up after dealing with that schedule of yours. Small Cakes in Madison can make your day go from sour to sweet. Check them out on Facebook at Small Cakes Madison, Instagram Small Cakes Madison, or online at smallcakesmadison.com. Or better yet, stop by today at 1091 Gluckstack Road next to Jersey Mike's and tell them Hannah Lane sent you.